Hello and welcome to our video on the Illustrator Shape, aka object or path. So, what is an Illustrator shape? It is any shape, any object or path that you can create in the application. So, the weird thing about this program is that it really is just lines. There's nothing else there when you take it all off of it. So, if I draw a rectangle, for example, this one is has a black line on it and actually no color on the inside. We can tell because of this red line through here. But if I go to my appearance panel here, I can actually turn off the stroke and the fill so it is nothing. And now you don't even see it there, right? It looks like it doesn't even exist. It actually does exist. If I go to view outline, you can see that it is there on the page as a hidden path. Um, Again, this has the mathematical equations on it, where these little anchor points, as they're called in the corners, they direct where the lines are going to go and um, put them together. In between the anchor points, we have paths, and those join the anchor points together to make it be a shape, in this case, a closed shape. If I draw with the paintbrush here, you'll see that, again, we're in the outline mode, so it's just showing me the outlines, that this one, the path is called an open shape because it starts at one end and ends at the other end does not stay together. If I drew this around like this, I could actually close it. Not with this one, but with one of the other brushes I could. Let's see, I think with the pencil I can close it. Let's see here. Yep, you can see my little asterisk next to the pencil changed to a circle, and now that is a closed shape. Versus if I go like this, it doesn't close, it's an open shape. All right. Um, so a path is the outline or edge of an object that is created in Illustrator if a fill or a stroke is applied. Uh, and I can go back here to my preview mode, and you can see that nothing is here because I was drawing with blank lines in outline mode. So if I select all these, though, like this, I just dragged across the page to select them all, or I could do a command or control, command on the Mac, control on the PC, A, that will select them all. And then I could give them all a stroke here under properties. Will that give them one? I might have, oh, they're all turned off, that's why. Appearance here, turn the fill back on. Turn the stroke back on. How about my strokes are all hidden here, so I'm trying to find them. There we go. Turn those back on. And you can see it was actually a giant paintbrush that I used, so I made these really big blobs. But again, as I said before, everything is changeable in these. So these all have a black stroke on them with no fill. I can take this rectangle and I can go to its fill and I can change it to be a color. Now it has a fill. The inside of it, of the shape, is has a color on it. It could also be a pattern or a gradient. Let's see if we have any available here on the quick load. So here is a gradient, goes from yellow to red. Here is a pattern. So the fill can have lots of different things on the inside of it. The stroke is the line on the path that's defining this, and this can have different things as well. You can see here that it was just a black stroke. I can take that and edit it. I can make the weight of the stroke bigger so that you can see it better. I can change the color of it to be something else. So lots of things that I can do with it. Same thing with these brush strokes down here. They don't have to have this touch calligraphy brush on them. They can just have a basic line. They can have a fancy line. What are some other brushes we have here? Pull this down. Kind of a swirly line. Little brush there. Here's a denim jean pattern. All sorts of things can be applied to it. So as I was saying in the previous video, these can all be changed to be whatever you like all the time. Lots of different options for things. They're very seldom permanent things in here. So if you make something and you don't like it, don't freak out. Oh, you're like, oh crap, I just made a box. um, you can just come in here and you can click on one of the anchor points and change it. Now it's not a box anymore. Now it's a fancy diamond. Or you can add more anchor points to it. Again, this is all stuff we're going over later in the semester. These are all just overviews, so don't panic. If you're not following along, if you're lost already, it's okay. Um, we're going to go back to all of this again over and over and over again. Uh, so here I just added an anchor point onto this, and now it's got another anchor point on it. I can take that anchor point and I can make it be a curved anchor point. So now it's a bended, bended is not a word, bent, arced kind of anchor point. You can arc them the wrong way, and then you get a swirl. So all sorts of funky little things that you can do. All right. Um, what else? So a segment is a part of the path that is between two of your anchor points. Um, so this right here, if you can see my highlight, it says it's path. That says anchor point. But you can also see that my arrow, my white arrow with the black around it, is changing to a solid arrow. It actually has black with white around it. And there's a little, like a little barbell thing in the back. That means that I can actually grab this segment and pull on it. Because uh, it had uh, curved anchor points attached to it, Bezier curves, um, it actually changed the shape of it there. And you can do the same thing with straight lined ones as well. And different things will happen. There is a thing called a center point. I'm going to select everything here and get rid of it. So on closed shapes, pre-made closed shapes especially, there's a little dot in the center there called the center point. Um, that is so you can grab it, basically. It tells you where the center is, but it's also so you can grab it. Um, you might be working with something that does not have uh, any fill on it. And if you have a box with no fill, you can't grab it unless you grab the path, the anchor points, or the center point, and then you can grab it and move it around when there's no fill on it. You can see that it's actually empty. All right. Um, and these are things that when we get back into them in the following weeks, I'm going to want you to definitely go in and practice them on your own. Pause the video and take a look at it. A lot of these I can't zoom in on to show you, so I can have the little zoom tool here. But if I zoom in on the anchor points, they don't really get any bigger. You can see they just stay small. Um, Same thing with the little round circles that were in there. So zooming in doesn't really help on these videos to show you things. These little circles, though, were added a couple years ago, and they actually make it so that you can bend your uh, pre-made shapes into other shapes. You can see they are all moving equally with this. If I hold down my Alt-Option key, oh, I thought I could just move one. Maybe I can't. Not letting me just move one there, but you can just move one of them over here. You can make it so that they are not all together in this section right here, and then I can just change one of the corners. You can see I just changed that one. I can change that one. I can adjust the size on the bottom one here. So lots of things that you can do, starting with a square even, and then make these crazy shapes out of it. Text is also just an object. I'll do some text here real quick. It can be modified. It can have a fill. It can have a stroke. It doesn't start off with a stroke, but you can put a stroke on it. That kind of makes it look bolded in this case. But if I pick a different color for it, versus the interior, you can see they actually have two different colors. You can apply effects to it. As I showed you in the previous video, you can put an arc on it so that it's bent. Luckily in preview, you can try to adjust that a little bit so you can actually maybe see it better. You can put 3D effects on it. You can put drop shadows on it. All sorts of things that you can do to the text to make it look different. You can make it be permanently not text anymore. You can say create outlines, and now it is just actual letters here. It still has this warp on it, so you're getting this shape, but I cannot change this text anymore. I can't change this to an N or anything like that. I can go in and modify each one of them individually. So I could kind of grab this M here and pull it down. You'll see it actually pulls it down in the arc as well. The arc is still modifiable after the fact. I go to my appearance panel. I can change the way that the arc looks. I can change the way the drop shadow looks. All sorts of things can be modified after the fact. All right. You can also take shapes and add them together. So I could take this star, for example. I'll take a couple stars here. I'll put them together like this and like that, I guess. That's good. And I can take all these and select them. And I don't know if you recall the other video where I had the wedding logo. It was called a compound shape. Compound shapes can be made um, a couple of different ways, but I'm going to use this one right here because it's fairly easy to do and undo. So I can actually join them together. So these are all just one blobby shape now. So again, if I was trying to create a little star monster, you can see I just made arms, legs, ears, little hair, mouth. Could pop some eyeballs in there, and I would have just created a little monster. So you don't even have to know how to draw necessarily in this program. If you can have the concept of cutting out shapes and putting them together and merging them, you can do that without ever having to use the pen tool and draw something. Though I will say that the pen tool is a really awesome tool for drawing, and you guys should definitely learn how to use it. We will go over it eventually in the class. Many people hate it in the beginning and love it by the end, so you can make your own freeform shapes that way as well. But if I undo this, sorry, and get my stars back to the way they were, I can also merge them this way where it does cutouts. I can merge them inversely. Uh, didn't like that one because they're not overlapping paths. I can cut out pieces, so now I've made this thing where it's got some cutout shapes on the inside of it. I can do that, but I can hold down the Alt Option key, and now they're actually movable inside of it. So I can come back in here and change the shape after the fact this way as well, make it look different. So there's so much that you can do in here. Again, I'm going to say this in like every video the first couple of weeks. Don't get overwhelmed. I know that if you've never used this program before, this seems like a lot, but I kind of just want to go over lots of things so that you guys can see that there's so much that you can do. And get an idea of what is to come in the future. Obviously, if you have used Illustrator before and you're taking this class for a certificate or something, or just a review, some of this stuff is going to be a little bit of a review for you. But if you have not used the program in a while, there are a lot of new things that have happened in the past couple of years, so definitely pay attention here and there. And again, over the weeks, next week especially, I think we're going to go over all these menus really quickly to get an idea of all these things that are in here. So, just be aware that all that is happening for us. All right. That is the basic overview for this video, and we've got one more to go this week, and I will see you in that video.